So let's talk about how to use if-else conditions in Svelte. For this, we're going to define a variable here called isLightOn, and we're going to initialize it to false. So in here, let's say we have a button that will enable us to press it and then toggle the switch of the light on or off. Let's call the button switch. And right now, if we want to take a look at the browser, you can see the button and we press it and nothing happens, of course. And if we want something to happen, we should add a click handler. So on the click event, we can call the function named toggle switch, which we need to implement right now. So let's do that. Function toggle switch. And then here we want to just toggle this switch. So we just say is light on is not is light on. So now every time this function gets called, it's going to toggle the is light on from false to true and from true to false. All right, so now in the template, we're going to put some markup that's going to appear when the light is turned on. So for this, we would need an if statement to check if the light is on. We do curly braces, hash, and then if, and then our condition. So our condition is light on, and if this is true, then the following markup is gonna render. We're just gonna say light is turned on, and we close down the if statement with /if in curly braces. All right, we save this and we go check the browser. We click on the button switch and we see that the light is turned on now. If we click again, no more message appears. We can toggle this as much as we want. But let's say now we want to show something else if the light is turned off. For that, we can just add an else condition. So in curly braces, we just say :else, like this. And here we add another message saying it's dark in here. Right, we check the browser. By default, it's in dark in here. This message shows because light is on is initialized to false in the component when it renders first. So let's switch, toggle it, it's turned on, off, and so on. So this if else is useful when we have two different states. Like here we want to check if it's one condition and otherwise it's another condition. But what if we have three or more, for example, conditions that we want to check? Well, in that case, we're going to use the else if statement. So let's do that now. I'm going to remove all this markup right here for another example. Okay, so now let's add a counter variable. And we're going to also add a button, which when we click, we are going to call the function called increment. Let's say this button has the label +1. So now we need to implement this function. In here, we're going to just increment the counter by 1. Here down below, we're going to show this counter. We save it, we see that the counter keeps incrementing. But let's say now that we want to show different messages depending on the value of the counter. So let's say we can add an if condition right here that says if the counter is larger than 5, we can add a new paragraph saying counter is larger than 5. Let's keep going. Let's say that in case of if the counter is larger than 0, we'll add a paragraph counter is greater than 0. Sorry, I accidentally put a slash here. I should have done the colon instead. Right, so that's how you add an else if condition. And then in all other cases, we can put else. So if none of these conditions are true, that means that the counter is 0. So that's what we're gonna add here. Counter is 0. And then we close the if condition. We save it. And now, as you can see, counter is 0. This condition applies. As soon as we start incrementing it, it's gonna say counter is larger than 0, because that's this if condition. But as soon as we get to counter is larger than 5, then this message is going to start showing. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And now the message changes accordingly. All right, so that was me demonstrating how to use the if-else conditions in Svelte templates. So I hope you like this video, and if you want to show your support, so please just subscribe, hit that like button. I would appreciate it. Thanks, and see you in the next video.